Hello class, this is Miss Adams. Thank you guys for being so well behaved and doing all your work while I'm gone. I'm going to take you guys through the note part, so you should have already done the warm up, all right? And then we're going to go down to where it says notes, 3 types of connections, okay? So today, really the focus is that you guys, sorry, I'm trying to fix my screen here. The focus is really that you guys are making connections between St. Lucy's and between the article that we read at the beginning of the 6 weeks and yourself in the world, all right? So when we're going through the text today, when we're making a text-to-self connection, we're looking at what the readers, so that's us, all right, and our own past experiences and background knowledge think about when we read the story. So what we think when we read based off of our own personal experiences, all right? So this idea here. Text-to-text connections is connecting what we're reading in St. Lucy's to what we're reading in another text or the article that we read at the beginning of the 6 weeks, all right? Text to world is making a connection between the text and bigger issues, events, or concerns in society and the world at large. So I'm looking at what's going on in the world and how does that relate then to the story I'm reading, all right? At the very bottom, there is a definition for theme, all right? The big thing I want you to take away from theme is it's the lesson or message that the author is trying to send to the reader. So it's what does the author want me to believe about life or about the subject? All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to turn to the next page. And I'm going to take you through an example of what these text connections look like. All right, so we see stage 5. It says, at this point, your students are able to interact effectively in the new cultural environment. They find it easy to move between 2 cultures. So this idea of moving between 2 cultures. Then if we go back and we look at this article that we read at the beginning of the 6 weeks, what does it take to assimilate in America? There is this quote, and it says, immigrants are expected over an undefined period to become like other Americans, but what this means remains unsettled. So this idea of remains unsettled. All right, so what does it mean then for the girls to effectively assimilate into this new culture and be able to move between their old wolf culture and into this human culture? So a text-to-self connection for this story for me, and I want you guys to write down the same thing because this is going to be an example that you can use when you're doing your own when reading the rest of St. Lucy's. For me, I moved to Costa Rica and I had to change my language, I had to change the way I dressed, my behavior in order to fit in and be accepted. So my text-to-self connection is when I moved to Costa Rica, I had to speak a different language and adjust my behavior to fit in. And make sure you write that down on your paper so that you have this when you're going and doing your own read through. Text-to-text connection. So I'm connecting this quote from the article to this idea of St. Lucy's, all right? And what I notice is that this word matches a lot of what the girls and the narrator Claudette is feeling, right? They don't really know exactly what it means to be assimilated, but they know that they want to fit in, especially Claudette, and that they don't want to be sent back. But the process of assimilating is unsettling to them as well. So I'm going to write that the narrator, and I'm going to use this appositive phrase that we saw in our warm-up, which is explaining our subject. So we're adding in a phrase that explains what our subject is. So the narrator, comma, Claudette, comma, so this is my appositive phrase, is unsettled about her transformation from a wolf girl to human girl. The last connection is text to world. So thinking about the things that are going on today in our society. And when we talked about the article, we discussed how we have these areas and these like neighborhoods or pockets in big cities where a lot of people from a different country come and they move into the same neighborhood. So we've talked about the idea of like a Chinatown or of the Irish village or the Polish village or Koreatown in the article that's taking over parts of the neighborhood. So I'm going to use that idea and I'm going to make a text to world connection on this. Like immigrants are expected to be like other Americans. All right, so there is an spelled argument wrong. There we go. Argument over whether places like Chinatown are, let's say, examples of immigrants truly assimilating. All right, so now I'm just gonna have you guys read. As you read, you need to do main ideas and associations. I expect that to happen on all of the papers, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to stop, and there are going to be places where you need to make a text to something connection, all right? My expectation is that you have at least one text to self, one text to text, and one text to world. So as you're going through this, I need one text to self, one text to text, one text to world, all right? You're going to read the passage. When you get to a check for understanding, you need to stop and you need to answer the question. Remember, author's message is theme. What is the author trying to tell us about assimilating? All right, based off of St. Lucy's. What is the author trying to tell me about assimilating? All right, once you've done that, then you can move on. You can do main idea and associations again. You're going to continue reading. You can do this with your groups, but make sure that everyone has their main ideas and associations and use those group reading roles to help you go through this process. All right? Again, you'll come to a check for understanding or a place where you need to do a text to connection. Make sure that you do at least one text to self, one text to text, one text to world. complete all of the pages. When you get to the CFU2, make sure that you're going back to the paragraph that it's talking about. An author's message, again, is that idea of theme. What is the author trying to get me to think about or to understand about St. Lucy's and the argument that it's presenting, all right? So, like, offers a solution, presents people need to assimilate, details disadvantages, explores difficult, all right? So make sure you're going through and you're crossing out what makes answer choices incorrect, okay? I also want you to provide me evidence that supports your answer. Then you'll go through again, main idea, associations. Still, you can do this with your group. You'll make your last connection. This is the end of the story. So thinking about like this being the end of the story, what is this author of St. Lucy's trying to tell me about this idea of assimilating and what it means for people, and should we do it? What do we expect of it? So we're thinking constantly about what is this author's message here with this story. You're going to turn the page. You have one last check for understanding on the back, all right? And again, you're going to cross out what makes answer choices incorrect, explain your answer using evidence, and then you have an SAR. You can use your composition notebook, all right? So use your notes to fill this out. I already provided you with evidence and with your main idea. You do need to fill in associations. So go into the story, look at where this is in the passage, where this quote is in the passage, and then think about what are the associations that the author is trying to get us to feel, because if the author is conveying a message, this is how we feel as the reader, right? So what is the author trying to convey or show through St. Lucy's? What are they trying to tell us? Start not with the word I, but use the words from the question and use those notes, all right? If you finish this, again, independent, if you finish, then I want you to move on to the DOL. This one, I know it's a page, but you're going to read, annotate like we always do, main idea, associations, all right? And then you have 3 multiple choice questions. They're exactly like the ones you did with St. Lucy's, but with a new text. Good luck. Make sure that you complete the whole packet. If you do not finish it, turn in what you have done, and I will see you on Monday. Thank you, you guys.